Hello, this is Jacob Miller from Uniting OpShops in Victoria and Tasmania in Australia. I'm really excited to be with you again today. Vicky asked me to do a video talking about trends in OpShops in Australia, and I think this is a really interesting topic because I've worked in OpShops since I was nearly 14 volunteering, and then all the way through to I'm 32 now, so what's that, 15, 16, 17, 18 years. And I'm getting old, 2 decades. And in that time, I guess there's been a number of changes that have happened naturally. Culture has changed. We had the GFC, we've had COVID, a number of big economic changes. We've also seen a rise in an understanding of sustainability and circular economy and the recycling mindset. So when I think back to those many years ago, I also think back to stores that were really church associated in many situations. They were kind of, there wasn't much of a thought to space management, and it was just a bit kind of, let's whack everything out and hope that it sells, and I doubt there was much of a stock rotation process. And I have memory of walking into dimly lit, overcrowded spaces. Whether or not that's true, that's the memory that I have. Where when you walk into stores today, they're often bright, they're lightly merchandised, there's incredible space management, there's data tracking, there's a number of different technologies that are used to ensure that we have really positive customer experiences, but also that those customers are spending their money with us. So I guess there's trends in how customers have changed, but also trends in how we've changed and what we've adapted to as a sector. And I think that's probably the biggest kind of change that we've almost driven ourselves. We've had stores that have renovated, that have put in appropriate shop fittings, that have merchandised for their customer demographic, and therefore we've opened ourselves to new customer demographics. So when we talk about trends of in the Australian charity retail sector, it's really interesting to, and I don't have the data, but to understand what trends we separate ourselves from ones that we've created and what trends the sector or the market have created for us. And it would be, I don't have the facts and figures to work those out, but super interesting. Something that I've noticed across a number of agencies that I work with and peak bodies that I talk to is volunteering has had a big decline since the pandemic. For us and a number of peer agencies across Australia, volunteering has declined. And so I know that there's a number of organisations that held their volunteer numbers, and that's really great. But what we're not seeing is the referrals or the engagement of new volunteers coming through at the pace that it was prior to the pandemic. That may not be true for everyone, but on the whole, that's true for most people. And there are a number of reasons why. In Australia, the employment rate is lower, the unemployment rate is lower than it's ever been. And so there's not as many people in the market to volunteer. I also think that people are making other choices now, post-pandemic, to invest in family, to invest in hobbies, to invest in themselves, and not necessarily invest in community in the same way. And if they do invest in community, they're doing it in a more individualized way and less in a way that is kind of connected to an organization. So how do we respond to that? Interesting. I think sustainability is really the way forward. We've heard for many years from many charity retailers the good that they do in a social service perspective or animal welfare perspective. But we've not traditionally been very good at talking about sustainability. And when you look at young people in the world today, sustainability is one of the core motivations for engagement in social causes. So why don't we celebrate the great sustainable impacts that we have as a charity retail sector? I think that there's a whole range of customers that are coming to us now, particularly in Australia, but I'm sure it's the same in the UK, because they want to be sustainable and they don't want to buy new. There are a number of things that we're tagged in on social media that it's around, I've brought nothing new this month, or I've brought nothing new this year, or I'm donating from my wardrobe because I've got too much and I don't want to be the capitalist kind of society model that I'm fitting into at the moment. So I think they're the trends that we're seeing that we haven't created ourselves. That kind of shift towards sustainability we haven't created, and we probably need to catch up with. And maybe there's volunteers waiting in that journey as well. But the shifts that we have created around having nicer stores, having a greater customer connection, really interesting to see that we've created those changes, and what can we do now to create the next trend and create the next wave for the sector. So sustainability is catching up on something that we've missed out on, but what change can we make that is going to open us up to a whole new market and create a whole new trend? And I'm really excited to see what we can create as a sector in that space. I don't have ideas for you because we'd be putting them into practice, but a thought bubble there nonetheless. Bye for now. You can follow us at Uniting OpShops on Instagram and Facebook, or me at The Jacob Miller Show. Bye.